Hello and welcome back, or welcome to the channel. It's so lovely to see you here. Today I am honestly so excited because I am starting the 75 booked challenge. Now, for the uninitiated, this is a 75-day reading challenge designed to help you get back into reading, get out of a reading slump, and get off that damn phone, which I really need to do because my screen time is ridiculous. So the rules of the challenge are as follows. Number one is that each day you must do two 45-minute reading sessions, one of which cannot be in bed. And that for me is already a challenge because I feel the majority of the reading that I do is usually in bed, like first thing in the morning or just before I go to sleep. So it's really going to force me outside of that comfort zone. But I think that's a good thing. The second rule is that during one of those reading sessions, you must drink a full glass or a full bottle of water because it's so important to keep hydrated. And I know that I forget to drink, and then honestly it gets to like 8 p.m. and I'm like, why do I feel so dizzy and nauseous and just not with the world? And it's usually because I have had no water all day. Rule number 3, I am changing very slightly for my challenge. Ordinarily, rule 3 is to keep a physical reading log outside of maybe using your digital apps like Fable or Storygraph, Bookmori, Goodreads, all of those apps. But I'm changing it very slightly to keeping reviews of the books that I read. I would really like to be critical about what I'm reading, kind of be present whilst I'm reading it, and just log my thoughts at the end of reading the books that I read. I think it's a really nice habit to get into, and I'm going to post more on my Substack. If you'd like to go follow, the link is down below. So that's my rule number 3. And then rule number 4 is perhaps the hardest of them all, and that is a book buying ban. Now, I'm a little bit of a habitual book buyer, I have to admit, but I have an insane physical TBR, and if you go and watch my last video when I put up those bookcases, you can see just how many books I have, and it's quite a lot. I will be waning this one very slightly because there are a couple of books I would like to buy for content that I want to put out there in the coming months. So I think for me, I'm going to change it to be intentional when it comes to book buying. So I'm essentially going to plan out, okay, I would like X and Y books because I want to film this particular piece of content, but we're not going to go into a bookstore and just splurge on like 7 random books we've only just found. So I think it's going to be a really interesting journey, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. I'm going to be totally honest with you as well, because I've been struggling a lot with scrolling on my phone until really, really late at night, until I literally pass out, and it's such a bad habit. It's not something that I have really shared too much about before, but I do think that it's something a lot of people struggle with, so I'd be interested to hear if that's something you also have been through. But I think really doing this challenge, I want to get my sleep schedule back into shape. I sometimes don't get to sleep until like 2, 3, 4 a.m. because I'm just scrolling or watching shows, binge watching shows, and I would really just like to get my life back. I feel like I'm wasting it all scrolling. I know that one of the reading sessions can't be in bed, but actually I would like one of them to be in bed so that I'm focusing more on actually reading before I go to sleep rather than scrolling on my phone for hours. Before we get straight into today's reading session, please comment below what you are currently reading. I would love to see. And if you would like to follow the progress of my 75 book challenge to see if I actually do succeed, then hit that subscribe button and the little bell notification so that you will get notified whenever I post an update. And let's get straight into it. So I am currently reading What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. And this is a really interesting book because it's actually a retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher, which is one of my favourite Edgar Allan Poe stories. And I also really love the Mike Flanagan series. If you've seen that on Netflix, I would highly recommend if you haven't. It also incorporates a lot of Edgar Allan Poe's other work, so there are so many Easter eggs if you are aware of his novellas and short stories. I am about 76, 77 pages into this book, and it's interesting. I'm interested to see where it goes. It reminds me a lot of Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. I think because they're both concerned with mycology and like fungi, mushrooms, all of those kind of things. So it's interesting to see those similarities between the two. I have read one other book by T. Kingfisher, and that was The Twisted Ones, which I felt like it started off quite strongly and then it sort of lost me. There is one scene from the beginning of that book that honestly gave me like a jump scare. I would say horror and thriller are probably my favourite genres. They're the genres I gravitate towards the most. So I am fairly desensitized when it comes to reading horror literature, but there was this one scene and it felt like a jump scare when I was reading it. And so even though I think I gave the book like 3.5 stars, it wasn't my favourite horror novel ever, but that one scene does kind of stick with me, so there must be something in that. I'm interested to see where this novel goes and how closely it follows the plot and the kind of ending of the original story. So I'm going to start my first reading session of today now. The time is currently 4 p.m. and I'd really love to finish What Moves the Dead today, either in this reading session or the next, because the next book I have to read is a really exciting arc. Let's get reading, let's finish our water, and yeah, let's get straight into it. So I have just finished my first reading session of the day and I have read about 40 pages. I read for about 50 minutes in the end, I think. So that was really good and I am really enjoying this book actually. I'm always a little bit cautious about retellings. I think especially when the original is something that I enjoy so much, I'm always a little bit unsure whether the retelling is going to A, build on that any more than the original has, and B, whether it's actually going to kind of stay true to it. And I think this one does. So far I think this one does. You can definitely see the parallels. It's really interesting. I mentioned the mycology aspect before, and obviously in the original The Fall of the House of Usher, the narrator kind of arrives at the House of Usher and can see that it's crumbling, it's decaying, and there's like a big fissure in the house. And with this one, there isn't so much of that, but right at the start of this book, we get introduced to these weird mushrooms that are around and these oddly behaved hares that are kind of jumping around the property. There's like no other wildlife there, so immediately you're kind of aware that there's something up with the House of Usher. And for the most part, the main characters, so Madeline and Roderick, are quite similar to how they're portrayed in the original story. I don't want to spoil too much on what happens in case you haven't read the original or you would like to read this, but I'm actually enjoying this so much and the imagery is really vivid. I would actually really like to know whether you are one of those readers who can picture exactly what is written in the book, or whether you can read the words that you can't really visualize it. This is something that interests me so much, especially when it comes to horror, because for me, I'm a very visual person. So when I read, I have such a clear image of what it is that I'm reading and the kind of world that's been built, and I feel fully immersed in it. But I know one of my close friends who is also an avid reader, she doesn't read that way. She kind of reads the words and focuses more on the words and the sentences. Like, she doesn't have as much of a clear visualization. I just find it so interesting because I think for somebody like that, you can be a little bit more critical of the writing and the kind of structure maybe of what's being written, whereas for me, I'm so immersed in it. But then if there are any incongruences or writing isn't so good, I don't feel as immersed. So I don't know, I'm just so interested in how that pans out. So let me know in the comments if you are one of those people that can visualize everything really clearly when you're reading, or whether you're almost more removed from the world, if that makes sense. I also managed to finish my full glass of water, which is amazing because, as I said, I'm so bad at remembering to drink water. This is probably the most I will drink in like 2 days. That's so awful. I have about a third left now, which is really good. 55 pages left. So hopefully I will be able to finish this in my second reading session of today. I think right now I am going to take a little bit of a break. Stranger Things season 5 part 1 came out today, so I might go and watch an episode of that. I have not watched it yet and I'm trying to avoid spoilers, so do not spoil it for me, although I may have watched it by the time this video goes up. I'm slightly dreading it because I just don't feel emotionally prepared for what might happen in this season. So I will see you in a little bit. So I've watched the first episode of the new Stranger Things and oh my god, I just want to binge watch them now. I knew this was gonna happen, but yeah, I can't do that because I have work tomorrow and I know full well I will regret it if I'm going in with like 1 hour's worth of sleep. So I think I'm going to have some self-control, go upstairs, get ready for bed and do the final reading session of today. Hopefully I can finish What Moves the Dead, that would be amazing, and then we can move on to the exciting arc that I have. I think I'm going to like get into bed and then read this, so I will probably update you next in the morning, let you know how it's gone, and yeah, I will speak to you then. It is day 2 of my 75 booked challenge and it's currently 10:30 p.m. and I still have not read anything for today. It's been honestly a crazy day. I've been back in the office for the first time in a couple of months since I did my foot injury, so it's been really great to be back, but it's been absolutely hectic and I feel like my social battery was just completely drained by the end of the day, even though it was so nice to see everyone. I basically got back, had dinner and had a nap, which was really bad. So I'm going to carry on reading for tonight. I have my water ready and I have my new book, which I'm so excited to get started. This is an advanced reader's copy of The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan, and it's basically about the Beast of Gevaudan and this monster hunter that's after him called Professor Sebastian Grave, who kind of seems like a vampire-esque guy. I'm not totally sure, I've only read the foreword, which is a letter written by him, so it seems really interesting. It kind of seems a mixture of fantasy and horror, and as I said, I'm definitely a more horror thriller reader, but I'm interested to see how this one will pan out. I did finish What Moves the Dead last night and I really enjoyed this. It definitely lived up to the original. As I said, that is original for a reason, it's classic for a reason, but this definitely goes into the details of like the fungi and reason why that sort of house is collapsing physically. I would probably give this one like a 4 stars. It's an enjoyable read for sure. It's quite short, so a good one to just get back into reading or try something new if you are new to the sort of horror genre. It gives those kind of haunted house, slightly body horror vibes. It's not too grotesque though, so if body horror isn't your thing, I think you could probably get away with it. It's a good way of dipping your toes into that genre, I think, if you're not super into it. I really enjoyed this one, so 4 stars for this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0! Hey! Happy Thursday, everyone!
Welcome back to day 3 of my 75 booked challenge, and I'm so sorry for the technical issues yesterday. My iPhone storage ran out, so I've spent a bunch of time today going through clearing some space, and hopefully we will have no more technical issues. I've also just got back from our village fair and Christmas light switch on, which was so lovely. I picked up a few Christmassy bits, which was really nice, and I just love the Christmassy vibes. You guys know I'm obsessed with Halloween, obsessed with autumn, but there's just a magic about Christmas that can't compete, right? Like, you can't get it any other time of year, I think. Anyway, back to the books. So yesterday I started The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan, which is my advanced reader's copy. So this is coming out in February 2026. The horror side, obviously I'm, well versed in, but the fantasy side, much less so. In terms of fantasy, I've read a lot of the classics, so like Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, the first book, The Lord of the Rings, etc., but not really much more outside of that. I was slightly cautious going in, but I'm on page 43, so chapter 6, and I'm really enjoying this so far. There's definitely enough at the beginning to kind of keep you interested whilst that world building is going on, and it also has like these footnotes, but they're quite sassy. It's not like academic reading. I mentioned that it's about the Beast of Gevaudan, which is allegedly the first werewolf, and Professor Sebastian Grave, who is the like monster hunter, but there's definitely some lore around him as well. So we find out that he's got like a spirit inside of him. It's sort of giving Gollum, but like not as intense. He has a little bit more control, I think, but there's a lot of kind of magic lore. There's other monsters, so he lives with this succubus that he kind of has to keep under control because she wants to get out and like seduce men. It's an easy read. There's obviously a lot of world building happening, but the prose is really well written, so it doesn't feel dense. I might go downstairs, pop the TV on, like put some ambience on. I think that could be really nice. And yeah, I will keep you updated on how this goes. But I have high hopes for this. I don't think I mentioned this, but I think this is Cameron Sullivan's debut, in which case props to him. Obviously I'm only 40 or so pages in, so I don't know how it's going to go down, but the writing style already is really nice read. And I think if you don't like the heavy fantasy, like the really kind of intense fantasy, I think this could be a good one to pick up, but obviously take that with a grain of salt because we don't know where it's going to go yet. Welcome back to day 4 of my 75 book challenge, and oh my god, I am loving this book. I have to say, this might make me a fantasy reader after this because it's just so well written and it's so easy to read. It's got a lot of lore, there's a lot of world building within it, but it's just written in a way that doesn't make it seem overwhelming. So I have currently finished part 1 of Red Winter. We're about to go into part 2, which is The Beast and the Maiden, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Like, we've had already a little bit of a change in circumstances, let's say. It is focused on plot, there's a lot of lore, there's a lot of world building happening, but also it's really nice because we've got kind of characters that are multi-layered, they're going through things that are changing their perspectives on certain things. I don't want to give too much away. I'm really enjoying this and I think it's going to be a really good read. I mean, it is currently, but I want to get through it by the end of this week coming. I do have slightly bad news though, and I forgot to mention this yesterday because I was way too happy after my Christmas fair visit, but I realised later in the evening that I had made a mistake because I had been to a bookstall at the Christmas fair and I did buy a book. And this is so silly, but because it was wrapped like this, it was a blind date with a book, it completely skipped my brain that I was on a book ban as part of this challenge. I know I said intentional book buying, but this wasn't intentional. However, I have decided that because this is like the cutest thing ever, I mean, just look at that. It is so cute. So I've decided that for the next book, after I finish the Red Winter, we will unwrap this together and I will read whatever book is in here. It is a thriller, we know that. It's got 4 stars on Goodreads, apparently. But yeah, I decided that I had to make it up somehow. So now that this book has a purpose, I feel like it's okay. But I did do my 2 reading sessions and I did drink my full glass of water yesterday. So everything else is going well. I do need to write my review for What Moves the Dead. And then I'm about to get rid of my Halloween decorations. It's the 30th of November and yeah, they're still up. But I just love Halloween, I love autumn, and it kind of hurts my soul a bit to be doing this, but I am going to redecorate for Christmas. I do have a page called Cozy Spooks if you would like to go follow me over there, and I post more cozy content and spooky things because as I say, I really love Halloween. So it's a little bit different to this. There isn't a YouTube channel for it, but if you would like to check it out, feel free. So looking forward to my reading sessions because as I say, like, this book has hooked me. It's hooked me. I love it. I will see you in a little bit. Yesterday was day 4 of the book challenge and you can see I've changed my background. The Halloween decorations are no longer, but you can see them hiding there in the background. It's December 1st today, so we are in the Christmas spirit. But I have again carried on with my book challenge. I was good yesterday, completed everything. I can't remember if I captured any footage because I've been having a lot of trouble with my iPhone storage, like running out halfway through filming. It's been a little bit frustrating. Hoping to kind of do a huge detox of everything, like go through my phone, camera roll, apps, downloads, everything, and just kind of clear out. So hopefully next time we will have all of the footage together. In terms of the Red Winter, I managed to get to the end of part 2 during my reading sessions yesterday. I was like a chapter away from the end, so I was like, I've got to finish it. And I definitely feel like it's about to go down. It's so interesting. Everything is so multi-layered. I don't want to go too much into depth with it in case you are interested in reading this when it comes out. I never thought I would be a fantasy reader, but I have to say this might have changed me. I might give fantasy another go. The chapters are fairly short, so I don't know if that's why I feel I can get through it quicker. I think sometimes with fantasy books, like, they are so long and it just feels like it's dragging forever, whereas this one is quite fast-paced, which is nice, but you do still have that multi-layered character development and everything. It's also a little bit gory in places. There is definitely some horror. It doesn't hold back from those kind of gnarlier scenes is what I would say. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. As I've said before, it's still keeping me hooked. So that is the end of my reading vlog for this week. I'm sorry there weren't too many clips outside of these little talking heads. I'm not used to just taking footage of everything. I would definitely like to do some more vlogs and hopefully it will kind of come with time. We'll get used to just filming out and about and just doing my everyday kind of things if you guys would like to see that. I will still be posting shorts and TikToks, Instagram, whatever. You can find those down below if you would like to keep up to date with my reading challenge. Obviously we still have many days to go. Today is day 5, so I'm just about to go do my reading sessions for today. But let me know what you would like to see more of, what video you would like to see next, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon.